got the magic finger.
Are we live?
We're live now,
Live.
yes.
Hey, everybody. Good morning. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Bookshelf Live. I'm Ryan Tuberty, host of the show, and this is Aidan Power, friend and technical advisor and all-around good guy. So good to see you, Aidan.
Nice to be back.
Very good. So we had our first ever Bookshelf Live not too long ago, and thanks to all our friends watching in today. It was great fun doing it. And the point of today's gathering, we're not going to go too long today because we have a lunch. We have a lunch commitments with our
hard out
with our sponsors, Eason's. We just want to say hello to them because up until now, our friends in Eason really have been.
Are you looking at yourself?
I'm looking at the comments. Oh my god! It's a toy man. That is brilliant. Am I still getting the toy man?
You reach through the screen, the toy man.
Funny. Oh, that's funny. Okay.
And that's not one of your special jumpers.
That's Emmett. No, it's not.
I love that jumper.
That wasn't
a dig.
total shade.
What's the first thing I said to you when I saw you today?
Mean Mr.
Love
Mustard.
it.
You did say
Love
love the jumper. Okay, so the point of today's podcast, or at least Insta Live, is because we're going to announce in a few minutes' time the name of our first ever book for our bookshelf book club. And we decided we'd do a book club largely because between the seasons, we've had 2 seasons of the bookshelf. We have another one coming down the tracks. Between the seasons, we want to keep the dream alive and do stuff. And I've got so many books I want to share with you who tune in, whether it's on YouTube or on Instagram. That we said we'll keep going. So we have an author who's going to come and see us on Saturday, the 8th of March, and sit here where Aidan is now. And we're going to interview that person. I'll give you all those details in a few minutes' time. And I'm going to give you some details as to how you can get some 10% off the book if you buy it at your local Eason shop, which is pretty good. Hello from Tyrone Breach. Good afternoon to you. And if you want to leave a comment in or ask a question, because that's for the live, obviously. There's no point in leaving comments or asking questions because this is going to be boxed up as a podcast.
Yeah,
I look to Aidan for the technical advice.
Some people will be hearing and seeing this after the fact. So if you have a question, now is the time to ask it.
Now's the time to ask it.
He's here before he goes for his lunch.
Yeah, I am. I'm going for a very, very, very easy lunch because I've got other things to do after that because I'm back in Ireland for a few days. I said the international man of mystery. No,
well,
I mean,
I've been
busy.
You were on the boat yesterday.
I was, well, in a manner of speaking. But the point of the matter is that I'm back. So when I'm back, I have to do boring things like go to the dentist and, get your life admin stuff done. So that's what's happening. And then tomorrow I'm going to Ashford Castle. Do you know have you been to Ashford Castle?
I have not had the pleasure. I think I've driven by it. I think I may well have driven by it when Rory McIlroy was getting married. So I don't think I actually got anywhere near it.
It'd be hard to. I think he had Stevie Wonder played at his wedding, as you would.
Why would
in Ashford Castle.
Just as the warm-up, yeah.
Paul McCartney's on next. I had
What's going on there?
I'll tell you. So it's a beautiful, beautiful castle. It used to be owned by the Guinness family, and it's really historical and lovely. And it's in Cong, which is a tiny village. Now I got the freedom of Cong, I should say, not too long ago.
Congratulations!
Your handprints go up there. And actually, I was at a launch last week in London of an album from Gloria Honeyford of all people.
Oh yeah,
and it was really nice. And she said, "Do you know Tony?" I said, "Tony, Tony Christie." As in Amarillo. Yeah. I said, no, Tony, nice to meet you. He said, nice to meet you too. And they said, Dan, his wife said, you're from Ireland. I said, yes, yeah. Tony is, you got the freedom. What did you get the freedom of, Tony? Cong. What?
You are an esteemed company.
I said, Tony.
I feel a song coming on. Do you know the way to Cong? Speaking of being an international man of mystery, look where they're watching from all around the world, from Scotland to Chicago.
Any tickets?
And Dunleary and Derry.
Dunleary and Derry. Well, Dunleary's where I live, and Derry's where my grandmother was from, the original Derry girl, Mary Coyle.
Yes, indeed. Someone wants to know, are there tickets still available for Ashford Castle?
Ashford Castle. So what it is, it's a history weekend. So history nerds come along and they get lectures. So I'm delivering a lecture. I've been writing a lecture, my first ever, on the Tuberties of Connemara. Because my grandfather and my great-grandfather and grandmothers had quite a history there between the Civil War and teaching and all this kind of really interesting.
An island,
Carrow
and a doctor. And
there's a great story about that, the island of the doctor, exactly. So it's quite the history. So I'm looking forward to sharing that. And I think Dermot Ferreter, Turtle Bunbury and Miles Dungan are doing it as well. So no, there are no tickets left. It's a very small festival, but I really enjoyed getting stuck into it because we did the show, Ballina, County Mayo. We'll see you there later on. And you need to get Richard E. Grant on the show. He always says that he is a voracious reader. In fact, he was in touch with me recently because he'd been hanging... Oh, I'm dropping that.
Come on.
Oh, clunk, clunk, clunk. But he had spent, I think, Christmas with Clodagh McKenna, and we ended up getting in touch because I posted I was sick. I'm just.
Does he have the freedom of Kong?
Richard. Richard on the phone. Richard, well done on Whitnail, but do you have? So Richard E. Grant would be a great idea for the book.
And the only question I'll ask you when you say, "Oh, do you know how I was talking to?" I'm like, "Do you ask him to come on the bookshelf?"
Yeah, and that's fair. That's fair. Listen, miss seeing you in Dunleary on the pier. Helen, I don't walk on the pier anymore. I run because I'm a bore. Killiney and where we go, Waterford and Leitrim. Oh, we've got the full Irish listening and watching in today.
Indeed, we do.
Welcome
and beyond. New Jersey, USA.
No way. Who's that? Do they have a name for those?
Yeah, let me
Hello
find
from
it. Dublin. Well, it's Dublin Heather is the name.
Isn't that nice?
So maybe abroad from home.
I'm a Dempsey of Mayo, but in Derbyshire. There's Galway, Cavan, Glenealy. Isn't this great? Welcome, everybody. This is so much fun. We need to do this more often, says Emmett.
Well,
Emmett, we need to do this. I love that you already think it's us hanging out together, which is my favourite thing. Henry Kelly died yesterday.
Yes.
And he was a very nice man. But unfortunately, I always got accused of looking like him, and which I thought was kind of mad because he's quite a long, big ear. You know, I can see why. And then when he came on the show, of course, the team were so. They thought this was
it like the Spider-Man?
It was this was the funniest thing ever. It looked like here comes Ryan's dad.
But you knew him.
And a little bit, not really. He was very nice. We used to all watch Going for Gold.
I was telling young Tom about it. Coming home from lunch and not
Coming
wanting to
home
go
for
back to
lunch.
school. I'd be like, Mom, she'd be like, get it back to school. I'd be like, they're going for gold. Going for gold. I had an extra line.
It's a great table quiz question. Who wrote the music, the theme music for Going for Gold? You know this.
Answers on the screen.
Does anyone? Well, anyway, hello from Kerry, by the way, and New Ross and Audrey. It's Audrey and New Ross. Maggie's in Galway. And what's the book? Suspense is killing me. We are okay, very good, and I'll tell you about the book in a second. It's called Delayed Gratification. Hold your horses. Oh, no, come on. But seriously, we have to shoot the breeze first.
Can I ask you about another book
Henry
first?
Kelly,
quickly?
R.I.P.
Indeed, absolutely well said. When we did this a couple of weeks ago for the crack, a lot of people were asking you, what you're reading, what are you loving? And I want more recommendations from you. But before that, you did touch on the fact you're writing a kid's book, but we never finished
what it is.
thread. A lot of people want to know.
Respect to Elaine Fitzmaurice. Hans Zimmer was the answer to the question. Well done,
Elaine.
Well done.
You're writing a book.
Okay, we Irish love to say where we are. Let's talk books. Gotta get out to netball. Oh yeah, I say okay. Hello from Claire at Books Reviews for you. Loving the bookshelf. Good. Galway, Athlone, and Leicestershire. Okay, I'm writing a book, a children's book. I wrote one I called Patrick and the President, which I loved, and then The Christmas Jumper. But this one is going to feature a little bit of UK, a little bit of Ireland, and it's a story that I'm not going to get into the detail of which, but it's very, very sweet, and it's been percolating in my head for some time. And I've told a few people about it, and I love the way their eyes light up when I tell them about it. I'd like to have an Irish illustrator with it.
Okay.
I'm kind of open to suggestion on that front. Because we're not in anywhere near publishing the book or anything. In fact, I've only written the outline to it. But
so portfolios to Ryan Tubridy, Dublin. Things arrive when you write.
Well, you saw the letters that. I actually might mention the letters. Sorry, let's just take that one because I'm reading The Hearts of Visible Fury, says somebody, by John Boyne. Such hope steeped in despair and sadness. A brilliant read. Well done. And that is a cracking book, by the way. Well done. Wendy, need the book title. I'm only on lunch and I got 10 minutes. Wendy in Liverpool, great listener to the show on Virgin, which is lovely. Thanks, Wendy. Okay, I'll tell you the book. In fairness, I don't want to make people wait too long.
Okay, so a line or two. You're doing a book club. I guess that's quite self-explanatory.
And you've also dickied up our signage now for the bookshelf book club. I love that.
Credit to the entire team who worked tirelessly through the night on that.
Yeah.
What's the first rule of book club?
Is talk about it to everybody, and yes, that's really important. So what we did was we're gonna talk about this book that I read not too long ago, and I thought this is perfect book club material. I'm gonna hold it up now, and this is it. It's Roisin O'Donnell's book Nesting, and we'll give all the details for people in due course. But that's the one we're going to talk about, and I'll tell you why. For a number of reasons. The debut novel, which is pretty impressive, and it is a story of, and it's a very serious story of a fiction of a woman who is married to a man who is essentially pillar of society. He's a mid-level civil servant, mass goer, and all that. And they have a couple of kids together, but he's horrible. He's a really horrible, coercive, controlling person. And it's not that he's physically violent, but he's emotionally violent. And she writes this so well to the point that it's unsettling and you have to put it down sometimes. But it's accessible writing, which is important. It's not dense that you're lost in it. And it's a desperately sad book, but it's also, there's a sense of hope in it. Of course there is. And I just found there were so many places to go in terms of having conversation about it. People will know these characters in their lives, whether they are them or they've been with them or their sister or brother have been stuck with situations like this. And the poor woman ends up at one stage, and I'm not giving too much away, but it is important to pitch the book to people at home. And that is to say that she ends up sort of not quite homeless, but that new homeless, that awfulness of being in a hotel and that life that we read about but maybe don't understand. And I thought you really get into her isolation, loneliness, and it's just a very, very moving book. And as I was reading it, Katrina O'Sullivan, who we'll know from Poor, who wrote the book, said, I'm so glad you're reading that as a man. I thought that was really a good point. Okay. And so that's the book we're going to talk to. And Roisin has agreed to come in.
Aha.
And she's going to chat to us from where you're sitting on Saturday the 8th of May at 11 a.m. We'll put the details up. 8th of March. Excuse me. Sorry, got that. Yeah. Correct me. But the 8th of March, and we'll talk to her about this, which I think is going to be a real buzz on the basis that, among other things, the fact is that with everyone, as we now know, all over Ireland but around the world, watching, those of you who are watching in on this, can get involved and have what is essentially an international, fully interactive book club. So you will have the right to and the joy of sitting, of getting your question, talking to the author of the book that you'll have read by then. You'll have it read by then, by the way. I know it's kind of tight enough time, but once you pick it up in your local library or your local bookshop, and we have a bit of a help along the way on that front too. So lots of people already saying, loving that. It sounds like a great book. Looking forward to it. That's from Aoife, and Imelda saying looking forward to reading that. Not for the faint-hearted. Not really, no. But I mean, just to be honest with you, it's really an important book, I would say. Other suggestions: Sabina Higgins, Elizabeth Day, she's terrific. Gabriel Byrne, great guest as well. And Rose says, brilliant choice for our first read together. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a real good talking point for a book club. That's why I
like that sentiment. Together.
Yeah.
You're building the club.
Well, but this is a club. And like I say, after we're finished here, we can box it off as a standalone episode. Mm-hmm. And I think is it on, are we YouTubing this
We're
time?
live on YouTube right now. We're live on Instagram. And very soon, or if you're in the future, you will be hearing this on all audio platforms.
That sounds like a real science fiction thing to say. If you're in the future...
Well, don't we live in a dystopian world, right?
We God.
Yeah. Let's not go there. Now, you have an offer.
It's a beautiful world. Thanks to our friends in Eason. Mm-hmm. Let us tell you that you can get 10% off nesting. Okay, so if you go into the shop or you get it online, if you just say the word bookshelf, is it one word?
Yeah, so online on easons.com,
okay,
you use the promo code bookshelf. Just that, all lowercase, the word bookshelf. That's easons.com. But you can go into the store as well, and I love this.
Yes, or the shop, as we might say in Ireland. No, but I know that you might have been in America for a week.
I was going to say in store. It sounds different to in shop. Right?
Yeah. So if you're walking along the sidewalk, the path, or maybe you mightn't understand it if I say.
You're usually the one with the cool international lingo to stay young. You and your riz and your other words that I think sound awfully suspicious.
Yeah, use the word. So if you go up to the shop, like if you go to the shop bookshop and you say that, or online probably for a lot of people. But because it's tight timing-wise, you might want to just go and get the hard copy today. You'll get 10% off. That's not bad. So you say bookshelf.
Yeah.
What if you go up and say Tuberty? Would they box you? Box you in the face.
Security.
That's it. Okay.
Bookshelf is the magic word.
Bought nesting recently for my niece, and she really enjoyed it. Can't wait to read that now myself. That's good news. And well done, Eason's, which is good. Shop, somebody saying well done for correcting Aidan on the word shop. Thanks very much indeed. I didn't mean to correct you, but it was just no.
Thanks, TC.
More dead people. Gene Hackman
today.
R.I.P.
His wife and dog. A man of 95 years of age, but when we don't know the circumstances.
But himself and his wife and his dog all died. Okay, he's just if you're trying to think of, I must watch a Gene Hackman film back from my childhood. I'm not doing the bookshelf again, but from my childhood, obviously Lex Luthor in Superman.
Yeah.
Just a terrific film that I actually only saw recently, even though it's a brilliant film called The French Connection.
One of the greatest car chases I've ever seen. And thirdly, then, because I'm really into westerns at the moment, thanks to Kevin Barry and others, the book, it's The Unforgiven with
what's it? Clint
Clint
Eastwood.
Eastwood. Yeah.
So he directed at least. So there, he's just a great. He was a great actor. So R.I.P. to him too. Good man Ryan says, Heather, love it. Use our own lingo. Sorry, have you become the baddie in this? That was quick.
I've been painted as the baddie.
This is great. Made my day.
I'm just the foil.
Yeah. Lee Harvey, power over here.
Sidekick Simon.
I gave Nesting 5 stars on Goodreads. Says another. Goodreads, I find I'm not on Goodreads
In terms of reviews, like a Yelp or...
Well, it's just that I think that when you're on Goodreads, I feel you read the book and you have to go on. I just feel it's like added homework. I'd feel a bit of pressure, so I don't kind of get involved.
Would you read a review before you go and see a film? Are you guided by that?
Oh, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
I try to stay away from reviews. Like if I see 1 or 2 stars, I tend to probably stay away from the film.
Yeah,
but
it
if
can
they're
taint
getting
it.
rave reviews, like I thought A Complete Unknown was a fine film, but I didn't think it was Oscar material. I thought it was a lovely Sunday afternoon film, like the Jolson story. For those of you of a certain age are going, the Jolson, we used to watch that with our parents. And I thought, oh gosh, what? There's something funny happened.
No.
That was the
just
Jolson story.
laughing at
And then there was, I thought Baby Girl, I thought was really good. That got ignored by the Oscars. They also ignored Challengers, which I thought was really good. I thought Zendaya was brilliant in that. So there's a few great films that got passed over. I know you didn't ask me this question, but I'm just riffing.
Well, I think I kind of led you down that path, and maybe there's a film club to come beyond or anon. But
we could do a whole
book club.
we could do a whole book club on
Books turned into
like
movies?
there is one of my all-time favorites. So my 3 favorite films of all time: It's a Wonderful Life, Goodfellas, and Remains of the Day. Remains of the Day by Ishiguro, I think is a much better film than it is. So very few times does that happen. For example, Joe Cocker did it with the Beatles, like Get By With a Little Help from My Friends.
Okay.
See the way it dragged us back into the Beatles straight away.
Not
But the point
not
is,
hard.
but sometimes you can better the original, and in those cases, I would say that's what happened. Goodreads reading challenge is amazing, and give it a go somewhere to save what you've read. So handy for referring to when recommending books to pals. That's fair enough. Love Irish writers. Yeah, I think it's really great that we have Roisin O'Donnell as our first book. She's new. I've never met her.
novel?
Debut novel.
Yeah.
And I've never met Roisin, but which I think is even better because we'll be all meeting her together for the first time on Saturday the 8th, which we're going to do early because we're in we're where we are now is very close to the Aviva Stadium, and on that day one of the biggest games of the year of in sporting endeavour will be between Ireland and France, obviously, and it's going to be, so time-wise we felt we should go early. So if you're up for your morning coffee or whatever, join us then. Gene Hackman, Enemy of the State, yeah, great film, that's great. So you might as well throw that into the mix. I love reading books on trains. That is such a that's such a good observation. One of the reasons I get to read so many books is because I travel a lot between London and Dublin, and it's so travelling means waiting for the plane, being on the plane, or on the train or whatever, and you just get time.
It's all reading time. You read on the tube as well, don't you?
As much as I can.
Yeah.
And I also read other people's books in the tube. No, I do. I love to see what they're reading. And I kind of, the tube's quite funny because you're packed in close enough, and then I find my eye, and I'm not trying to be smart, but my eye goes like this to other people's phones as well. I'm going, shouldn't be looking at that. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
We all
No,
do.
I don't like that.
We all do that.
But I do love to see what they're reading, and I'll follow somebody's walking along. I'll follow them, and they'll go, "Who's the creep?" I said, "No, I'm not looking at you. It's your book. I want to see
Don't
what you're
close it
reading."
yet. I want to find out what happens.
And
Tina
yeah.
points out, and I forgot to mention this. Coincidentally, we're chatting with Roisin on International Women's
Yeah,
Day.
I'm conscious of that. Funny, and I wasn't when we set it up, so I'm not going to try and be a hero here. But I saw somebody saying yesterday on Instagram, I hope it's a woman on International Women's Day. It happens to be.
Yeah.
And I think I just love the serendipity of that and the appropriateness of that. So that's good. Here's another. Looking forward to getting started on the book. Great choice. Good stuff. And elsewhere, the International Women's Day, which is really, really good. I see our friend Emmett there talking about pickpockets. Let me tell you a quick story about pickpockets.
There's pickpockets on the tube. He's referencing.
Apparently there are, but they're now phone snatchers. Have you seen that on Instagram?
I've seen the videos
where you're just the door's about to close and they go.
Yeah.
But there's a place called there's a mall or an arcade near Piccadilly, and once a year somebody's allowed whistle there, but otherwise you're not allowed whistle. So this guy, yeah, exactly. So this guy won the competition to see who's allowed the rights to whistle, and I think it's called the Burlington Arcade. And the reason is it's whistling is banned is because in the late 19th century, the pickpockets used whistling as a form of pointing out a mark. Power. Take it. And they do this. So they said, right, in order to just stop the pickpocketing issue,
They outlawed it.
No one's allowed whistle except once a year. Some guy is allowed to whistle. So if you ever see, anyway, that's my story. I find life quite interesting and bizarre.
And also, if you're in London some weekend, he gives tours too.
I do give very
quirks
good
of London.
I do give really good tours of London. I had friends over recently, and we do the zebra crossing on Abbey Road. I'm actually thinking of doing a bookshelf London tour.
I'm not off that road yet.
No, I know. No, so I'd want to do, but I'd love to do like a tour and bring people up Primrose Hill, where there's a few movie sets, and then down Regent's Park and out to all the beautiful bookshops around the place, and then end up in obviously Soho in the Devonshire for pints.
Future plans for the book club: we'll take it on tour, and it can end on Primrose Hill with you reciting the last lines of a book.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, all right.
Let's make it happen.
Future plans, I say.
We're doing the radio show on from the Devonshire pub in Soho on, just while we're doubling up here, on St. Patrick's Day, right? It's a Monday.
Nice.
It's a Monday morning between 10 and 1. And we have Cian DeCrow is playing.
Fantastic.
A recent
Grammy winner.
Grammy winning.
Yeah.
We've got some great trad musicians playing. Had to explain the word trad to a few people over there, which is fair enough. And a few people coming by. So that's kind of exciting. So if you want your request played, or if you want to say hello to you, wherever you are in the world, on Virgin Radio or Q102, we will. You have to send a letter or card to the Devonshire pub in Soho, and then we'll read it. Because when I started off in the UK, I was talking about the Devonshire quite a lot, and people started sending me posts there, which was hilarious. Yeah, it's not a good.
So that's why you call in to collect the post.
That's exactly it. I just have to collect the post. Oh, he's off on the having a pint again. So that's all good. You could team up with Rory's Travel Club. I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is? We'll find out in due course.
Sounds like we can go travelling with Rory. Right, so you want to recap and wrap her up?
Not really. No, I do.
Do you want your lunch or not?
No, I do. Is it? Oh, yeah, of course.
It's time.
What's the Guinness like in the Devonshire? That is a good question. It's exceptionally good. And hopefully, if you're going to go there, find Davey behind the bar, and he'll.
If anyone happens to be in London on Paddy's Day, can they show up to your radio show? It's closed off.
It's a bit closed, unfortunately. But if you're knocking around, we'll say hello. Of course, there's plenty of. It's Soho. We can. There's room, but unfortunately, it's not a call in, and it'll be.
But you'll probably be there after the show. Sorry, that's an aspersion.
Linda says, I went to London last week on foot of all your Insta posts. Well, that's very nice to hear, because you're the Insta post. A lot of people say they enjoy the London bits of Instagram. I never look. Just in case you're wondering about the Instagram, first of all, I do it all by myself. I'm that great. But secondly, I'm never quite sure what to put up. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just lashed up. Like if I see something of interest,
of what it should be about.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Snapshots. Okay. I will recap. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, that's why you're good at your job, and I'm just spoofing. Roisin O'Donnell Nesting is our first book club book that we'll ever do. We'll be doing it on March the 8th, which is a Saturday morning at 11 a.m. And you can get questions in, as we say, live or wherever suits you. And we will then package that up as a podcast, and you can listen to it or watch it in due course after that. If you get to Eason shop or online, use the word bookshop in the... sorry. Jeez. Can I tell you a story? Just as I say that,
you're going to say, "Can I do a second take?" No,
I was in take two.
Where were you?
I was in Marylebone in London. There's a lovely church there, and it said Bram's recital. Come and see. I said, "Oh, that sounds nice." So I went in, and one Sunday, and I realised it was a bit of a ruse. They really wanted you in for the service, and but I was trapped. And anyway, he starts reading the biblical story about Jesus raising Lazarus. And I always thought, that's okay, so that's Lazarus was his mate. I didn't know Lazarus was a friend. I just thought he was just like, oh, wait till you see this, lads. And no, but I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just thought that was the Bible story, biblical story. And so he goes, and it's his mate, it's his pal, Lazarus, his amigo. And he says, okay, Lazarus, I don't know quite what he did. Like, I know it wasn't like Sunday night at the Palladium, but anyway, he raises Lazarus from the dead, and he was so chuffed. No, this sounds inappropriate. I really didn't mean to. But he's so chuffed that he's managed to raise Lazarus from the dead. In the Bible, this is the vicar. And he raised Lazarus from the dead. He saw Lazarus, and Jesus wept. And I went, I thought that was a Dublin expression. Do you know what I mean? I actually thought people just said, Jesus wept. I just said it there.
There's the etymology of it.
But actually, Jesus did indeed weep because he saw his friend coming from death to life again, and that's what made him cry. So
This London tour by Ryan would be incredible. It
love
really
the views at Primrose. Oh yeah, and that's before we have a scoop. Lash all of it up there, Ryan. Parks, etc. Great to see. Yeah, it's nice when we get up to the top, which is which we appreciate. Love reading in quiet places like parks. I find parks quite difficult to read in because it's distracting.
Me too.
Yeah, you're looking around.
Yeah.
So, but it's a nice idea to be out, you know, sitting on a bench and just enjoying the views and everything else that goes with it. Okay, in for the service with his Bud Laz, Jesus Wept. Yes, thank you, Van. You're enjoying Linda. They're enjoying Jesus Wept. No, but it's, as I say, it's just one of those stories. Every time I pass by the church, I often think to myself, Jesus Wept. You know. Okay, other things I've been reading, by the by, will I just mention that before we head off for our lunch with our friends from Eason? Probably ordering.
No, we've missed the starter. But
Have we missed the starter?
Whatever. No, people are dying to know what you're reading.
Just some recommendations in case you want to just write a little, make a note of one or two things if you've already read Nesting and you want something to be going on. Book of the year so far, Wellness by Nathan Hill. When Nathan Lane is a Broadway star, isn't he? Yeah. Nathan Hill. And that's really good. It's a big chunk of a book, which I loved.
Okay.
Kevin Barry, Irish writer, The Heart in Winter. I think that's one of the best books I've read this year as well. Absolutely loved it. And I also loved one called Song of Spider-Man by Glenn Berger, which is all about the musical Spider-Man the musical, which was a catastrophe, just a flop on Broadway. But it's a fascinating story. The music was written by Bono and the Edge, so you can because we kind of them. You go, gosh, that's. But it's quite reassuring that look, you can have a flop and still stay brilliant as they do. So that's a really, really good book too. So my friend Killian Donnelly got me into that, and my friend Neil also recommended that. I've started reading Never Let Me Go by Ishiguro on your recommendation. Intrigued so far. Eilish. The great thing about that book is you'll get to a certain point in the story and you'll go, what the hell just happened there? Jesus wept. And, you'll go, that's what happened there. Okay, shall we wrap it up? We said it was a short one.
3 Jesus wept and you're out. 3 strikes and you're out.
Yeah, what is it? Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
But,
red rum.
But just a biblical twist to the tale.
All right.
So we'll see everybody on Saturday, the 8th of March.
Yeah. 11 a.m. It'll be you. I won't be here. You'll be sat opposite
Roisin.
Brilliant and fabulous Roisin O'Donnell. So do join and get your questions in.
Yeah, and I hope you enjoy the book, if that's the right word. And I think you will enjoy meeting Roisin as much as I will. And you're now part of the gang. Thanks for tuning in now. If you're just listening to the episode as a standalone, I hope that's it's fun for you. It's a little bit different. It's much looser, as you can tell. We just had 2 more bookshelf guests in with us this morning for season 3, and they weren't they?
Amazing.
Yeah, lovely conversations.
Which is flippant to go, they were amazing.
No, but they were lovely and thoughtful people, and
they're very well known people.
Yeah.
And genuinely you are going to hear and see things you haven't heard elsewhere before.
That's nice. I like that.
That's always important.
Aidan, thank you. Tom, thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
And thank you very
Technical
much.
Tom.
Enjoy your lunch. I'll tell you since you said hello.